Hi, I'm Pierre, and we're talking about issues in Toms River. Key issues in 2019 were the mayor and council races, open space preservation and development, and property taxes. In terms of the races, mayor and council races will affect everyone in Toms River. Those put into office will be essential in decision making for the areas of concern, and the mayor's seat and 3 Republican council seats will be available. For the Democratic group, Petro will be running for mayor, Williams, Sage, and Boyle for council. Republican group 1, Hill for mayor, Latano, Cope, and Gagarian for council. Republican group 2, Roderick for mayor, Lundgren, Libman, and Lamb for council. And Republican group 3, Coronado for mayor, Ryan, Mom, and Meehan for council. For open space preservation and development issues, the rapid development, especially in the North Dover area of Toms River, has caused problems for council who struggle to come up with a plan, as well as property owners and developers. More than 1,400 homes have been either completed under construction or approved. Over 60% of voters voted against doubling Township's open space tax, which would have raised about $3.8 million annually to purchase land, and the council was surprised by this vote turnout. Council member stance: the mayor and council members struggle to come up with ways of containing growth and have to decide which land to buy and how much money to allot, so they came up with this rezoning plan. It was unanimously decided that more than 60 acres of land in North Dover would be rezoned to remove potential high-density housing, and the development on properties was restricted from 1 house per half acre to 2. The rezoning has caused property owners slashes in their land value that Lakewood developers were going to purchase at $5 million a parcel. For property taxes, this is obviously an issue for any homeowner. New Jersey homeowners in general pay the highest taxes of anyone in the whole country. Toms River's rose at a slower rate from 2017 to 18. The average homeowner's tax bill increased. The average property tax bill increased. Municipal purposes was stable, and school purpose tax rose. School purpose tax rate. The major issue here is the S2 bill. This will cut approximately $82 million in state aid over the next 6 years, roughly $2.8 million to Toms River alone. The Senate's president said that districts like Toms River were overfunded and has declining enrollment, so they don't need as much aid, but this is definitely not true. This affects everybody involved in the school systems. Superintendent Healy specifically warned that if there weren't more funds, he'd have to make staffing cuts, eliminate sports, and other great things related to schooling here. In December, they had a hiring freeze, so they're facing these cuts, and Toms River joined other districts in a lawsuit against the Board of Ed commissioner. So the People's Stance: district leaders had a march on Trenton, went to freeholder meetings. There were 27 buses, including officials, senators, and assemblymen, who were all really pushing Trenton to reverse this. Healy remained optimistic because there's 80 assembly seats up in November, and Hill says that there's inner city districts that receive more state aid than Toms River school budget, and their per person costs are twice than Toms River's. So all persons living in Toms River who are taxpayers are affected by this because Toms River Board of Ed came up with the budget. Taxpayers would be responsible for $165 million almost, which is an increase, causing a tax rate of 1.16 per 100 of assessed valuation. All these things work hand in hand and have caused major issues, not only for people in the school district, but homeowners and taxpayers. Overall, these are 3 major issues that whoever ends up in council are really going to have to find an effective way to deal with.
So on my blog post, I focused on the history of Toms River. So let's just get right to it. So the 3 main issues that I focused on were Hurricane Sandy, Ciba-Geigy, and the opioid epidemic specifically. And what I found that Toms River, the township, had lost around $2.2 billion in ratables since Hurricane Sandy struck, um, as well as 11,000 township properties being damaged by Superstorm Sandy, which, fun fact, is also the most in the state of New Jersey, unfortunately. Um, Touching on Ciba-Geigy, it was a chemical plant in Toms River, and Ciba-Geigy was responsible for polluting millions of pounds of industrial dyes on its property from 1952 to 1996. So with this pollution, unfortunately, it leaked into the water system and ended up getting into the water supply. So people were drinking this polluted water, and studies were made, and they found that children would be diagnosed with cancers such as leukemia, and after all this research was conducted, they linked it back to this uh, situation where they were just polluting purposely just to save money, which now they're out of business because they had lawsuits you know, claimed by the people that were getting cancers and all that. And thirdly, I touched on the opioid epidemic. And what I found was that there were 49 deaths from drug overdose in the year of 2016 in Toms River specifically. However, a good light of the situation is that Toms River was one of the first townships to actually take action in this opioid crisis. So, yeah, those are the main issues that I concluded from my study, and yeah.
The political culture of Toms River. Toms River is located in the 3rd Congressional District with a population of 88,537 citizens. The two major parties are the Democrat and Republican parties. Out of 59,987 registered voters, approximately 11,000 were registered as Democrats, approximately 15,000 were registered as Republicans, and approximately 32,000 were registered as unaffiliated. In the 2016 presidential race, the voters of Toms River voted 65% for the Republican candidate Donald Trump, while 32.4% of the vote went to the Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton. The remaining 2.6% of the votes went to additional candidates. In the 2012 presidential election, 57% of the vote went towards Republican candidate Mitt Romney, while 42% of the vote went to the Democratic candidate Barack Obama. On a local level, the Republicans count for 5 Republicans to 2 Democrats on the Toms River Council. The council includes Brian S. Kubel, George E. Whitman Jr., Maurice B. Hill Jr., Lori Herrick, Maria L. Maruca, Daniel Roderick, and Terrence Turnback. The current mayor is Thomas Kelleher, who is registered as Republican. One of the biggest organizations in the town is the Ocean First Foundation, which strives to provide scholarships for schools who cannot meet their community needs. The foundation also provides funding to different schools and community centers. The Clean Ocean Action Beach Sweep focuses on preserving the health and safety of the local beaches and participates in panels to provide information on how to improve the quality of the environment. The political organizations are all online, which includes the Toms River Democrats, the Toms River Republican Club, also known as the Toms River GOP, the Toms River Independent Organization, and the Libertarians of Ocean County. We the People is an organization created to protect the First Amendment and exercise the right to petition the government.
So from our part, I had number 4, which went over elected officials and how to become an elected official. So Toms River elected officials. There are 9 total elected officials in Toms River. The mayor, Thomas Kelleher, then there are 2 councilwomen, Lori Herrick and Maria Kushka. The 6 councilmen are Maurice Hill, Brian Kubel, George Whitman, Terrence Turnback, and Daniel Roderick. It's also important to note that all the elected officials in Toms River are all Republicans. Also, 4 of the 9 were listed in the military at some point, or still are. The informal decision makers in Toms River are business owners and any other person who helps grow Toms River as a county and a community. These people are the informal decision makers because without these people deciding to opening up business and bring revenue into Toms River, the elected officials would have to focus on other things like growing the economy. This also includes anyone who donates to churches or any local businesses, not to mention any positive events held in Toms River, for example, the Greek Festival. Roles of citizens. First and foremost, it is obvious voting and taking part in local elections is important. Maybe that is by campaigning for somebody you want to win or showing up to town hall meetings every month. There is also the event side of things for citizens holding local events, like at Winding River every year. There's an Easter egg hunt that all the local police departments and elected officials show up to and interact with the local people. The little things that people don't think about when elected officials get in touch with the community are things most people do not think about. Finally, how to become an elected official. To get elected as a mayor, to start, you need to be a U.S. citizen, a resident in which you're running. To be 18 years or older, you also need 1,356 signatures of registered voters to sign a petition. The 1,356 represents 1% of the last elected total votes. For council member, the number ranges between 200 and 300 signatures in order to start the campaign. Most people who run get more than that required signatures just in case some of the signatures are invalid or those who are illegal in the country. The positions are paid for mayor makes around $105,000 per year, with the council members getting $35,000 per year. Council members are paid less because obviously they are not considered full-time positions. And that is it.
Hey guys, I'm Ro, and today I'm going to be talking about my recommendations for Toms River's key issues. The issues that Toms River currently faces are the opioid crisis, school budget cuts, and water contamination. In 2016, one person died of a drug overdose for every 2,344 in Ocean County. Toms River is currently the fourth highest city in New Jersey when it comes to drug overdoses. City officials have started recommending Naxaline, a nasal spray that can be used to reverse the effects of an overdose. Ocean County Prosecutor Joseph Coronado has started a heroin addiction response team called Blue Heart that allows addicts to seek treatment from local police stations. Another solution to reducing overdoses would be to crack down on doctors for overprescribing drugs such as OxyContin and Percocet, as well as teaching students more about the consequences of hard drugs while in school. The S2 bill is threatening to cut $2,780,498 from Toms River's school budget due to declining enrollment in schools. That's going to cause staffing cuts, eliminating sports and extracurricular activities, and courtesy busing. Toms River, along with several other districts, has filed a lawsuit against the Board of Education Commissioner Lamont Ripollet, whose department is in charge of overseeing the distribution of state education funds. District leaders had a march on Trenton, attended State Assembly Budget Committee hearings, and spoke at Ocean County Freeholders meeting about this problem. Another solution would be to focus on enrollment rates and find out why so many students are choosing to go to out-of-town schools and allocate money to improving the local schools. From June of 1953 to March 1996, CEBA used the Toms River Water Company's Hollywell Field to pollute the town's drinking water, causing high rates of childhood brain and central nervous system cancer. Toms River's rate was 3 times higher than the normal rate. Now, President Trump's proposal to roll back environmental regulations, including plans to loosen restrictions on the federal Clean Water Rule, has towns like Toms River panicking. Solutions would include raising national awareness to this issue by educating people on the subject and protesting this policy.